You want to lead like a pro, then understand this first. Real leadership ain't about being in front, it's about being all in. It's about waking up every single day with that hunger in your soul, that urgency in your chest. I'm talking about the kind of hunger that don't clock out when you're tired. The kind of hunger that doesn't need permission, applause, or perfect conditions. That hunger that makes you dangerous to average, to excuses, to comfort. You don't get to be a leader just because you were chosen or because someone handed you a title. You become a leader because every single day you show people what it looks like to grind, to sacrifice, to bleed for a vision that's bigger than you. You don't get to sit back and hope the team gets better. You get in the trenches and you become the standard. You set the tone by how you show up, how you speak life when things are falling apart, how you keep showing up when quitting is easier and more convenient. The problem is too many people want to lead without hunger. You want the rewards, but you don't want to pay the cost. You want the crown, but you ain't willing to carry the cross. Let me make it plain. If you're not hungry, you're not credible. Because people will follow passion before they follow a paycheck. They'll follow someone who burns with belief before they follow someone who just barks orders. That's the secret, man. Hunger changes everything. When you're hungry, you study when others sleep. You show up when others bail. You make sacrifices that others ain't even thinking about. People watch how you move when it's hard. When everything is on fire, they look to see if your fire still burns brighter. And that's what earns you influence. That's what earns you their respect. You don't lead by being perfect. You lead by being relentless. Every single day when your feet hit that floor, it ain't about do I feel like it. It's about am I still starving for this? Because the moment you lose your hunger, the people around you lose their hope. You're not just showing up for yourself. You're showing up for the people depending on you to stay locked in, to stay committed. To stay hungry, you want to lead people like a pro. Then start by mastering the one thing most folks ignore. Self-discipline. Yeah, I said it. Before you start talking about building teams, inspiring crowds, or making impact, let's talk about how you lead you. Because if you can't dominate your own choices, your own habits, your own thoughts, then don't expect anybody else to trust your leadership. Discipline is the foundation, the engine, the standard. It's waking up when you said you would. It's sticking to the plan when nobody's watching. It's doing the right thing when it's boring, when it's tough, when it's not popular. That's what separates amateurs from professionals. That's the difference between someone who talks leadership and someone who lives it. People think leadership is about charisma, about hype, about standing on stage and saying the right words. Nah, leadership is about the grind behind the scenes. It's what you're doing when the spotlight's off. You don't just wake up and command respect. You earn it every time you choose discipline over distraction, commitment over convenience, standards over feelings. When your people see that you've got that kind of control over your own life, that you hold yourself accountable before you ever call them out, that's when they follow you with trust. That's when they buy in. You gotta become the example, not just the instructor. You can't just teach work ethic. You gotta embody it. You can't just post about accountability. You gotta be it. Every day, every hour, every moment, you have a choice. Be controlled by circumstances or be controlled by discipline. Leaders don't wait for the mood to strike. They move with purpose, no matter how they feel. That's the price. That's the secret. If your team sees you hit snooze, quit early, cut corners, what do you think they'll do? But when they see you up before the sun, locked in while others are lost, focused when chaos hits, that's when they rise to your level. Because discipline ain't just about you. It multiplies. It infects the culture. You set the bar high by how you treat your time, how you guard your energy, how you refuse to let comfort make your decisions. Self-discipline is how you build trust without even speaking. It's how you lead without ever asking to be followed. You think leadership is about being in charge, calling shots, sitting at the head of the table? No. Let me tell you something real. If you ain't serving, you ain't leading. Period. Leadership is not about ego, it's about sacrifice. It's not about control, it's about contribution. The moment you think you're too big to serve is the moment you disqualify yourself from being a real leader. People don't need another boss barking orders. They need someone who's willing to get their hands dirty, someone who lifts people up, not just directs them, someone who shows them what excellence looks like by doing it first. You don't lead people with your position. You lead them by the way you treat them. When you walk in the room, they don't care about your title. They care about how you make them feel. Do you elevate them or do you use them? Do you pour into them or do you drain them? Real leaders serve, and they do it relentlessly, without needing credit, without needing applause, without keeping score. You want to lead like a pro, then get out of the spotlight and get in the trenches. Be the one who shows up early to set the tone. Be the one who stays late to make sure no one gets left behind. You can't be too proud to help with the small things, because leadership is found in the details. It's in the conversations no one sees, in the encouragement no one hears about, in the sacrifices you make silently so someone else can shine. That's what earns loyalty. That's what earns trust. You serve because you love the mission more than your comfort. You serve because people matter more than power. This is what separates real leaders from people who just want to be in charge. They see people as purpose, not problems. And when you commit to serving, when your team knows you've got their back, when they see that you're not just here to lead them but to fight for them, to carry them when they're weak, to believe in them when they stop believing in themselves, that's when you unlock something deeper. That's when they go from following you to becoming leaders themselves, not because you forced it, but because you modeled it through how you served. Everybody wants to lead from the stage, from the spotlight, from the place where everything looks polished and perfect. But real leadership, the kind that changes lives, it doesn't come from your highlight reel. It comes from your pain, from your scars, from the moments that almost broke you but didn't. You see, people don't connect with your success. They connect with your struggle. They don't follow you because you got it all figured out. They follow you because you've been through the fire and you didn't quit. You want to lead like a pro, then stop hiding your scars. Stop pretending like you've never been through anything. The best leaders are the ones who have failed and got back up, who have been doubted, counted out, overlooked, and still kept moving. The world doesn't need another perfect image. It needs someone real, someone who's been hurt but still hopeful. Someone who's been knocked down but still stands tall. That's leadership. That's influence. When you lead from your scars, people see your humanity, and that's where trust is built, because now they know you get it. You understand the fight. You know what it's like to feel empty, to question your worth, to want to give up. And yet here you are, still showing up, still locked in, still chasing purpose. That's what inspires people to follow you, not because they're afraid of you, but because they feel seen by you. Too many folks trying to lead from a place of pride, but pride doesn't lead, it pushes people away. It builds walls, scars build bridges. You lead through your honesty, through your transparency, through your willingness to say, yeah, I've been there, I felt that, I almost quit, but I didn't. That kind of leadership hits different. That kind of leadership lasts, because it ain't just about the wins anymore, it's about the wisdom you gained from every loss. That's what qualifies you. That's what makes your voice powerful. That's what separates you from the ones who only show up when it's easy. Real leaders carry the lessons of every battle, and they use those lessons to lift others, to guide others, to remind others that pain isn't the end, it's the beginning of strength. You don't lead from a pedestal, you lead from the same dirt you rose out of. You can have the vision, you can have the strategy, you can have the plan, but if you don't bring the energy, nobody's following you. People don't move because of what you say, they move because of how you make them feel. And if your energy is off, your team is off. If your presence is weak, your influence is weak. You want to lead like a pro. Then check your energy before you check anybody else, because leadership is spiritual, it's emotional, it's internal. People aren't looking for someone who's just smart. They're looking for someone who's alive. Someone who makes them believe again. Someone who reminds them what's possible just by walking into the room. You don't need a megaphone when your energy is loud. You don't need to force people to follow when your vibe speaks louder than your words. Energy is leadership. It's not about hype, it's about being fully present, fully connected, fully committed. Your team can feel when you're just going through the motions. They can feel when your passion's gone. They can feel when your fire's low, and guess what? They mirror it. They take on your rhythm, your pace, your intensity. So when your energy's inconsistent, their performance is inconsistent. You set the temperature. You decide the atmosphere, and if you want excellence, then your energy better match that expectation. You can't demand more from others than you demand from yourself. The energy you bring to the room determines whether people leave drained or driven. So ask yourself, when I walk in, do I light fires or do I drain batteries? Do I spark focus or spread frustration? Every leader carries an atmosphere, and the best ones protect it with their life. That means managing your mindset, your habits, your health, because all of that feeds your energy. You can't pour into others when you're running on empty. So fill yourself with purpose, with discipline, with gratitude. Then walk into every room like you were sent. Not just present, but powerful. Not just involved, but fully invested. Because when people feel your conviction, when they sense that you believe in what you're doing, when they feel the force behind your presence, that's when they follow you, not because they have to, but because they want to. Most people think leadership is about gathering a crowd, stacking up followers, building a fan base, but that's not real leadership, that's ego. Real leadership isn't about how many people follow you, it's about how many leaders you create. If you're the only one shining, if you're the only one growing, if you're the only one getting stronger while everyone else stays the same, then you're not leading, you're performing. You want to lead like a pro. Then stop building followers and start building leaders. That means you have to pour out. You have to share the game. You have to empower people, not just instruct them. Give them the tools, the belief, the vision to go further than you ever did. That takes humility. That takes security, because insecure leaders compete with the people they're supposed to develop. They suppress others so they can look like the hero. But real leaders don't need to be the hero. They create heroes. They create environments where people are challenged, sharpened, stretched, and supported. You don't need to micromanage people when you've trained them to think like leaders. You don't need to constantly check in when they've caught the vision and made it their own. That's the legacy. That's the mark of a professional leader. When you can walk away and it still runs strong because you didn't just build a system, you built people. And here's the truth, it's hard, it takes time. It takes patience, it takes pouring into people who don't always get it right, who sometimes fail, who sometimes frustrate you. But that's the cost. You're not just guiding their steps, you're shaping their mindset. That means being an example in the way you think, speak, work, and bounce back from failure. You can't expect them to rise if they've never seen you climb. You want them to lead with excellence, then show them what excellence looks like every single day. Let them see you hold the line. Let them see you stay locked in. Let them see you believe in people even when they're struggling to believe in themselves. And eventually, something clicks. They start to move differently. Think differently, lead differently, not because you forced them, but because you built them.